It's like a spotlight shines down from the heavens on me and everyone's looking at us and we're in the back of the room. Congratulations, my junior high guys are last place. And I'm like, huh? I had to do the walk of shame to the front podium and here I am. You know, I got a nice golf shirt on and I got nice slacks and I was feeling good about myself. And we got a bag that says last place on it and it's got balls in it. And I'm thinking to myself, that's great because I lost all my golf balls. Now I'm getting some back. The buffalo runs into the storm. It knows that the storm will be much more brief if you run through it. The cow runs from it. The storm lasts a lot longer. Yeah. Moral of the story is you're gonna fail with dignity, have some courage, know you can grow from it, and have a little fun with failure.
Welcome to Building Your Sales Engine. I'm your host, Mark McGraw. Hey everybody, welcome back to Building Your Sales Engine. I'm your host, Mark McGraw. And today I sit down with an astounding individual by the name of Rob Vaka. I have known Rob for probably 15 years, give or take. And I tell you what, if you're going to emulate somebody as both in terms of their character as a human being, in terms of their skill sets as a sales professional with just high ethics, go emulate Rob. Great episode. He breaks down his 5 favorite words, his phrase of the decade. I thought that was fantastic as well. And he really goes into a lot of concepts that are not only great for you as a salesperson, but also great for you as a human being. So I think you're going to love this episode. We're going to dive into Rob Vaka. Be sure to like and subscribe. And for this podcast, it helps us out tremendously to get the message out to more and more people about the benefits of what goes on with our clients and how they've implemented Sandler. Let's dive into the conversation with Rob. So with that, Rob, welcome to Building Your Sales Engine, and delighted to have you here. In my mind, Rob, you are absolutely one of the best connectors and one of the best, most genuine people that I've ever met in my life. And it's one of the reasons why I reached out to and had you come in, because we love to take and unpack what people are really good at. So welcome to our get together here.
Well, that's humbling. I'm grateful to be here. And it all starts with gratitude. And I'm grateful that we've known each other all these years, because as we talk about connecting and connections, I've introduced you to a few people because I really felt like you could help them. I didn't introduce you to them because I thought that a referral was a thing to do. I introduced you because I really thought you could bring value to them. And I think that's the beauty of the circle of life, Mark, is that if you bring value, you're going to meet a lot of people. Yeah. If you're curious, you're going to meet a lot of people. If you come across as more interested than interesting, you're going to meet a lot of people and people are going to come into your circle. And I'm glad that you're in mine.
I'm glad that you're in mine as well. And I want to come back to something you just said, but I'm going to put a footnote on that as far as whether or not this is a learned skill or something that you were born with. But why don't you, for our listeners, share with everybody, what are you doing? What's your background? How did you get to where you are right now? Give us a couple minutes, Rob, if you would, for perspective.
Well, interestingly, I call myself the 5-year man because the last 25 or so years of my life professionally have been 5-year blocks. I spent 5 years in 2002 to 2007 with an AED program distributor helping save lives. That company was called Cardiac Science. I joined there in 2002. I helped build the sales force there, but I was really a solo artist in the national accounts world selling big deals. So I was a big game hunter, and what we were doing is bringing life-saving defibrillators to big companies and putting programs in. And so that was between 2002 and 2007, and that was 5 years. And as fate would have it, my next 5-year opportunity was on the horizon, and I joined an entity called Equity Estates. And we were helping high net worth couples and families travel more, see the world together, and have an equity investment in this fund of luxury vacation homes. And that was for 5 years. And then the next 5 years was spent building a company that you came into and served and helped grow on the sales side that was a membership-based club that gave half its revenue to charities, and that was called G2G Collection, which was short for Get Away to Give. So that was 5 years. And then I spent the next 5 years at Signature FD, which is a wealth management firm that helps families grow their wealth, avoid the pitfalls of earning money. And I led the athlete practice there. And you came in there and helped us in that business. And then after that, right, I left and I went and joined a guy that a lot of people know across really the world. If you grew up with sports in your life, you know the show that used to be on ESPN called Sports Science. So John Brankus and I became best buddies after meeting at the Super Bowl in, I think, 2011 or 12. And we formed a business and grew a business called Brinks TV. And Brinks TV was the next generation of sports and entertainment. We did 500 plus daily shows together like this one. The show we debuted was called the NIL House, all about college sports and NIL. Our first guest in our very first show were the famous basketball sisters out of Miami. And oh my goodness, I'm losing it, because if you think of the Georgia quarterback, remember the Georgia quarterback? Mm-hmm. It was his girlfriend. It's going to come to me. Okay. The Cavender twins. Okay. So the Cavender twins were our very first guest. And we went on to have Livy Dunn, the LSU gymnast. And so that was a great show. And after a run there, now I'm back. God has moved me back into the life-saving business. And I'm back in that business I was in 20 plus years ago. And that is AEDs, life-saving AED programs. The leading cause of death in America is cardiac arrest. 350 people die of cardiac arrest every year. The leading cause of non-accidental death in youth is cardiac arrest. And so I'm helping grow a sales team, helping turn this sales group into what we call the Imperial Guard, and we can talk about that later. And I'm helping teach a lot of the principles I learned from you so that we can help save more lives.
Do you know, maybe you're aware of this, maybe you're not, in every one of the descriptions of what you just laid out, you were helping. Every single one of the descriptions of the 25 years of the timeline you just went through. And it's one of the things that I just appreciate about you is that your heart is always on other people, and it's on helping and serving and making a difference. And I don't even know if you're aware of that.
I'm not. I didn't.
If we played it back, we would go back and pick that up and see your reference to the word helping every single time, which to me is what sales is. I mean, and you are a master salesman, without a shadow of a doubt. You were the first day I met you. You're kind enough to give some Sandler kudos and props. But you were phenomenal day one that you and I met. And so what? Let's take a minute on that side of things. From the helping side of things, what does that mean to you with respect to selling? And how do we use that mindset, and how do you use it to be so successful?
It's interesting. Really, from the time that I graduated college, which was a lot of moons ago, I can remember the interviews that I had coming out of college. I played very small school football, and I had this crazy idea that I was going to have an agent, and I was going to be able to get tryouts for the NFL, and I was going to go to the NFL, and I was going to be a kicker. And after some gyrations around what I might do after I graduated, my dad said to me, "All right, enough. Like, I didn't pay for you to go to college to bump around and go to Florida and try out for a team. And dude, you got to get a job." And the diatribe there and the story there is I never really saw a job in sales as a pejorative. I think a lot of people say sales and they think salesy and, oh no, here comes the sales guy. Oh no, I'm going to get pitched. I never really saw it that way. I always thought sales is just helping somebody solve a problem.
Yeah, amen.
And now there's a pejorative in that too, right? As men, the knock on us sometimes is we want to solve a problem. We're not listening. Our wife is telling us something and she doesn't want us to solve a problem. She wants just us to just listen. So it is a balancing act. It's a balancing act, not And I think the beauty of the example I just gave, it just came to me, I didn't rehearse that, is that selling truly is a balancing act of not solving a problem too soon because you don't have enough information to solve it.
Yeah. And there's so many times I think that when people go into a situation, they've seen that prospect circumstance 1,000 times and they just assume that they know how to fix it and they're going to fix it. But the prospect or the buyer doesn't realize that that's where they are, that they need to be heard and understood. And so we jump in and go into problem solving mode way too early in the process. We see this a ton. You're seeing it. You see it as well. And it's one of the things you've overcome or maybe you never had to deal with, but to become as good as you are, that's something clearly that you've mastered.
We have to fail a lot. You really have to be willing to fail a lot. And playing sports growing up, I saw my share of failure, right? Just growing up, I saw my share of failure. In the 80s, growing up in central New Jersey at the top of the Jersey Shore with a bunch of freckles, skinny arms, not really amenable to the tan that the sun could bring to other people, really more of a red look. And
I joke that I come in two colors, white and red. So
yes.
Maybe you too.
Oh, I come in translucent and red. And so in the 80s, there were two kinds of eyeglasses, ugly and awful, right? So I had the eyeglasses, I had the bowl haircut, I had the freckles, I had the translucent skin. And so whether it was failure on the basketball court, I was with my boys, my junior high school guys, I was with last weekend at a charity golf tournament. I hadn't seen some of those guys in 40 years. And we were joking that I once hit the roof, the ceiling of an indoor basketball court. When I took a shot in a game, I hit the ceiling. That is failure.
You missed that
That's
bad?
Failure.
Is that what you're saying?
That is I missed that bad.
That's impressive.
So that's just an example, right? Failure is just a great learning experience. Winning is, I love winning.
Yeah.
God, I love to win. But it doesn't teach as many lessons as failing does. And I think failing as many times as I've failed through the years has literally whittled me into what and who I am.
You have an expression that I remember you using probably the first day we met each other umpteen years ago, 10, 12, 14 years ago, whatever it's been. And it's, you've got to be in a lot of rooms. Explain that, if you would, because I think it's such a great concept.
So I heard and learned a long time ago the concept of situational fluency.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about sport or language, I remember taking French. I never became fluent in French. I took French in high school and college. I just didn't put enough into it. I didn't have enough enthusiasm for it. And the failure part, I wasn't willing to learn from the failure of it. Situationally fluent people, they're willing to fail. They put themselves out there. They get into a lot of rooms. And what I mean by that is they put themselves in a lot of opportunities and situations for growth. So whether that is spending time at an early age with CEOs or seeking out people who are better athletes than you, or if you're a believer, seeking out someone who knows more biblical principle than you do, but having the courage to do that and play up, so to speak, play up. Some parents put their 8-year-olds in a 10-year-old league. That's playing up. So if you're able to play up and fail and get in different rooms over time, you will learn from the failure, you will course correct, and you will develop situational fluency, whether that is in being a wide receiver in football or being a sales coach or being a sales leader or being a husband. You will get situationally fluent because you're willing to course correct and you're willing to put yourself in different situations.
And, Sandler rule, you got to learn to fail to win. And that's what I hear inside of there. And Rob, I was talking with somebody the other day, and they were talking to me about what they felt like was imposter syndrome. And I'm thinking back on that and what you're describing, because when you put yourself in a lot of rooms, you are by the very nature not comfortable in the room. I mean, it's almost by definition. If you're in a new situation, a new environment, you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone, you're challenging yourself, and in effect, you have some imposter syndrome because you don't believe that you belong yet. And any reaction to that, or any thoughts in terms of how somebody deals with that? Because being in that room for the first time is naturally uncomfortable, and a lot of people need to learn how to get through that. Any advice you'd have there?
Well, failure, the prospect of failure is uncomfortable to most people. And I would just say the story that we've been told, the narrative we've been told since we were an early age, that failure's not an option, is a lie. And that narrative messes people up.
Yeah.
It creates limiting beliefs. It creates mistakes because people are afraid to fail, and they put themselves in situations where they try to be too perfect and they fail anyway. So from an early age, I just remember the mantra, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And that has always been my mantra. And I don't mean fake it by being inauthentic. I mean, go for it. And if you look silly, then you look silly.
Yeah.
But while you're doing it, learn from it. Like last week, I told you I was at a charity golf tournament with my junior high boys, my junior high guys. And it was a fascinating day because it was emotional in that one of my junior high basketball teammates who I went to high school with, Tom Barklage, lost his son Blake 3 years ago to cardiac arrest. Amazing, right? I'm in the business. I find out my buddy lost his son to cardiac arrest. My buddy is advocating for AEDs in schools. So we have a shared interest. So we go to this golf tournament, and I'm playing with my guys, and we're not playing horrible, but we're not playing great. And we wind up in this scramble, which did not take handicaps into effect. We wind up at 2 or 3 over, which is it's not good, right? The scramble, you need to be under par.
Needs to be a minus in the beginning of the number.
I wasn't paying attention when Tom Barklage, who told me, we don't have first place, second place, third place. In front of 300 people in the ballroom, we have first place and last place. We award last place. So here I am, I'm having my, traditional rubber chicken at the banquet, and we are celebrating his son's life, and we're finding a way to preserve his legacy. And I hear, and I'm not even paying attention, and I hear, and my guys, Rob Vaka and Tim Fogarty and Rich Schutz, congratulations, my junior high guys are last place. And I'm like, huh? It's like a spotlight shines down from the heavens on me, and everyone's looking at us, and we're in the back of the room, and I haven't done the walk of shame in many years. I had to do the walk of shame to the front podium, and here I am. I got a nice golf shirt on, and I got nice slacks, and I was feeling good about myself. And so I walk up to the front, they're taking pictures, and we got a bag that says last place on it, and it's got balls in it. And I'm thinking to myself, that's great because I lost all my golf balls. Now I'm getting some back. The moral of the story is, look, the buffalo runs into the storm. The reason the buffalo runs into the storm is it knows that the storm will be much more brief if you run through it. The cow runs from it. The storm follows the cow. The storm lasts a lot longer.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is, you're going to fail with dignity, have some courage, know you can grow from it, and have a little fun with failure, right? It is not, unless it's catastrophic failure, and that's probably a discussion for another day and probably not a sales discussion, but have some fun with it. Know you're here to learn, and don't take it so seriously.
I think that's great advice, especially the don't take it too seriously part. In the grand scheme of things, most of us, in your case, there may be some life and death in terms of the world that you're in, but for most of us, that is not the case. And that's just added undue pressure on the entire thing. So I think that's just all around great advice. I'm curious, we talked a minute ago about this simple fact that you are one of the best connectors I've ever met in my life. And I've met, well, I think you can take it. And I'm dying to know, like, some of the thought process that you use, because I think a lot of people could learn. I'm one of them that could learn from this. And the one thing I wanted to find out from you is this a learned skill? Have you done this your entire life? You're just so good at recognizing the connections of people more than most by far. Is that something you've always done, or is this something that you've had to learn?
I don't think I've always done it, but I have always enjoyed the curiosity factor. And my mother has told me that when I was really young, they used to call me the professor because I had the ugly glasses, I had the bowl haircut, and I don't think she was lovingly referring to the fact that I asked a lot of questions as a kid. Yeah. So you never shut up. You were asking a lot of questions. You were the professor. We called you the professor. You always ask questions. I think that when you have a curiosity mindset and you're able to ask conversational questions, I've tried to teach our sales team that there's 3 levels of asking questions and being curious. When you are not experienced at it, when you're uncomfortable at it, it can come across as an interrogation. Mm-hmm. Asking questions in the sales cycle, if you're not rehearsed, comfortable, and confident, your questions are out of order. There are third parties listening and thinking, why did you ask that then? You would ask that later. So I think it goes from interrogation to interview to conversation. And so by asking questions through the years and being curious, I've always been very conversational. And I can ask somebody a question that may seem interrogatory, but it's conversational for me. And it's not offensive because I'm just trying to learn and find out. And by asking these questions, I can figure out, just the same way you can in a sales cycle, is there a way for me to help you with something? Because I'm not that guy or gal who you meet, you have a cup of coffee with, and then you get the 3 emails an hour later that connect you on LinkedIn to somebody that you never heard of before. Mm-hmm. You know that person? Mm-hmm. And that's not me. I'm looking for, through our interaction, through the questions I ask, through the answers you give, I'll leave here today thinking, who might be a good fit to put together with Mark so that 1 + 1 can equal 3? Mm-hmm. I don't like small sums. I like multiplication, not addition. How can I find people to put together that there's going to be a big win for them? And I don't need anything from it. Yeah. The law of reciprocity takes care of itself. You can't play quid pro quo with referrals, quote unquote. You can't play quid pro quo with introductions. You can't put people together because you want to win a prize. You do it because you can sense there's an opportunity that can make something really special happen.
And I think I know the answer to this, but I want you to tell me if I'm close. And what's your win in it? I mean, everybody does things based upon a motive or their own. And I have a hunch, but I'm curious, what would your answer be to that? Because you're doing that for a purpose.
You know, one of the main elements of human life that keeps people going and creates a sense of purpose is connection. And I love connection. I crave it. I think you and I were talking earlier about what the period that the pandemic kicked off did, starting in 2020, and it diminished connection. For a bit there was a lack of connection. Listen, I have a super cool basement with a lot of memorabilia, but the memorabilia did not love me back. It didn't communicate back. I could look at football helmets all day long and they didn't communicate back with me. So I do it because I love connection. I love solving problems. I love bringing people together in fellowship. Yeah. And I love seeing results. I love results. Yeah. But I love seeing results and I love people. And that's why if you look at my disc profile, for example, I'm more of a high I with a little bit of D. 25 years ago, I probably was more D and driven by results and tasks. but I really do love people. I believe in relationship. And when you can get relationship and results, that's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I mean, I'll come back and say it's a lot of you is about helping and serving other people. And so I hear that in you. So part of the benefit you get is making a difference and getting a result. And I love the 1 + 1 = a bigger number. It may not even be 3, it may be 10.
Could be. At least more than the sum, right?
Yeah, to me, you're always so intentional about those things. So you mentioned earlier the Imperial Guard. We should talk about the Imperial Guard now. So do tell, when you're building a sales team that becomes the Imperial Guard, what goes through your head with that?
So I learned the concept only recently. I haven't learned the concept of what my vision for a world-class sales force is, but I did learn this concept of the Imperial Guard, and I learned it through a couple of day interactive, experiential, how to theoretically get 95% share of the market.
Okay.
And the 2-day event was called 95 Share. And I was a guest of an AED maker called Zoll. And when I went through this 95 Share class, one of the themes was, you must aspire to be part of the Imperial Guard. If you want to be the best of the best, if you want to get 95% share market, you've got to be around, you've got to assemble, you cannot compromise. You want the best infantry, militia. You don't want general enlistees being part of your elite sales force. And it really sparked thought, and it really created a vision, a vision for me in terms of, where am I in my life? What do I want to accept? What do I want to bring in? What do I want to mentor? What do I want to build? This is what I want to build. I want to be part of a team that is the best of the best, that's intentional, that's grateful, but is clear on its mission.
Yeah.
And so many, my word of the decade is clarity. So many salespeople, so many sales forces, so many leaders, there's just a lack of clarity. And lack of clarity creates, you're not exceeding your quota. You're not hitting the financial goals of the company. You're not being fulfilled. You're not getting promoted because there's a lack of clarity. And so how do you create the Imperial Guard? You create a clear path. You do not compromise. You mentor people, and you're patient in finding the right team members that you're going to add, because the price of entry is high. You just don't accept anybody into your world.
When you're describing that, Rob, I'm thinking SEAL teams. I'm thinking
100%.
I'm thinking Rangers. I'm thinking that group, that cadre of people, and that's what you're striving for.
That's it. And look, will we get there? I don't know. But if you don't have standards, if you don't have goals, if you don't have a mission, if you don't have a purpose, you don't have clarity.
Yeah. Yeah. And an expression that comes to my mind when you describe that too is, you get what you tolerate.
You do.
And I think I remind myself of that a lot in my life, that I might think, well, I can let that slide or whatever. But the minute you do that, you've created a new standard in my mind, at least. And I hear that in you to a degree as well.
It's 100% right. And I think, this discussion, nothing in this, you can't live in this world in your profession and live in a different world in your personal life. It's not possible unless you're an actor. And so I think all these principles apply to your personal life, right? You taught me on day one, you said, listen, the UFC is applicable with your wife and kids, and it's applicable with your prospects. And that stuck with me. That was day one, and that really stuck with me. It's creating clarity up front. It's being authentic, genuine, and having the courage to say to somebody, listen, we're going to spend 30 minutes together. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I'm going to take a bunch of notes. Is that okay? I'm getting a small yes. Yes. Great. At the end of our 30 minutes, I think we're going to know, does it make sense to have another discussion and bring in your team? Or are we not a fit because we're not a fit for everyone? Yeah. And that's okay.
That's one of the things, if you'll allow me a minute, I just love about Sandler is that it does affect the personal side of things as well as the professional side of things. And it's just one of the cool things about getting people to open up about how they've used the communications tools in other ways in their life. And that is so fun to me. I get a thrill out of that and watching that success. So it's so interesting to see how many things have stuck with you over the years and how many things are rolling around there.
Well, I think I had 2 rounds of Sandler, right? I had 2 rounds. I had at Getaway to Give, G2G Collection, and then at Signature FD. So you made your way into 2 rounds of this boxing match in my life. And those were 2 really, really, really important periods of time for me. So yeah, you've made an indelible mark, and I've woven Sandler into almost everything that I do.
And that's amazing. It's amazing. And it almost didn't happen. Do you know this story? Do you know?
I remember our first meeting in the G2G offices.
The inbound lead that I got from you guys, from you. I don't know if you've heard this, but I got an inbound lead, and it was a Getaway to Give, and it was on the 23rd of December, or the 22nd, and the meeting was either Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve. And I just being honest with you, just being straight, I look at the lead and I look up the company and I'm like, this is timeshares. And I'm like, do I want to give up Christmas Eve or whatever it is and timeshares? And I'm like, just run the call. Just go run the call, go run the meeting. And I sit down with you and I learn, and we get to talking, and I see what a pro you are and all of these things. And I realize what you're doing, it's not timeshares. It was the farthest thing from it. And what a great experience I had during that time with you. And I've loved getting to know you. It's just so funny to me how a decision that happened right there, I could have taken a different path and just canceled that meeting because I thought about it. And I thought back at that moment, I thought how much I would have missed in my life and how much interaction you and I have had over the years and all of the wonderful things that have come from it by one simple decision of just moving forward and running the call and running the meeting and all the good things that have come from it. So forgive my emotional moment there.
Listen, I had not heard that story. And that's fascinating on a lot of levels, but from a practical perspective to share with whoever is listening in the audience, the most important question to me, and I just went through this with a prospect, and I had 2 people from my team in this engagement with me. And what was magical is the question of why. Why would you do this? And then just being quiet and letting your other party, your prospect or your customer, letting them run with that, and then developing and peeling back the onion, right? Had you not taken the meeting, you wouldn't have figured out the why. Yeah. You wouldn't have been able to qualify. You wouldn't have been able to figure out, is this a timeshare, right? It was a luxury vacation club that gave half its membership to charities, and one of a lot of, at that time, from exclusive resorts and all these different luxury vacation clubs. But had you not qualified, we wouldn't be sitting here right now, and we wouldn't know each other, and I wouldn't be better for it, and you wouldn't be better for it.
I caught my prejudgment, and thankfully I went in the right direction. Now, I do wonder, Rob, how many times that I didn't catch my prejudgment. That's a story for another day.
It is.
But all of the side benefits that come, out of that, one of the many, and I just have to throw this out here, like you guys let us use a penthouse in Chicago. And we ended up bringing 8 really amazing VPs of sales from around the country together at that particular time. And those folks still talk about that. We've had some of them on the podcast about just a sort of a mastermind group for one time, one day, years ago. But I still picture being in that space that you guys let us use, and that wouldn't have happened. And it's just amazing. So anyway, thank you for that.
You just brought me back. That place in Chicago was special.
Oh,
that was
I miss
that
it.
Penthouse in Chicago.
I walked by it. In fact, I walked by it just 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, Kinsey Street.
I think it was called the Envy.
That's right.
ENVY.
It's on Kinsey Street,
on Kinsey,
downtown Chicago, right by the Kinsey Steakhouse.
Great memories.
It's great. Okay, so Yeah, I have to ask a few other questions here too, because maybe I'm the one that's so curious about this stuff. You mentioned to me some words, and I love the fact that you said, hey, the word of the decade is clarity. You mentioned as we were starting that there were 5 words that were really important to you, and I jotted them down, but the first was curiosity. It seemed like you have a list, or it seems like you've got clarity around the phrases and words that are really important to you. What are the words, what are the phrases, and what do they mean to you, and what can we learn from them?
It's not that I necessarily have a list, because when we started talking before the show, I rattled off 5 concepts, 5 words, 5 terms. I didn't have those prepared. Mm-hmm. I didn't have them in a list. Those are what come to mind when I think about what's important in life, mm-hmm. in relationships, in sales, in your profession. Those are the terms. And I'm not sure those are a lot different. You could probably correlate those to the fruit of the Spirit, the biblical fruit of the Spirit, right? Kindness, love, generosity, gratitude. For me, the words I rattled off were genuine, authentic.
I got them right in front of me.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Right? Authenticity, courage. And those are all critical into in the ways that you would live your life, in the ways that you would run your business, in the ways that you would interact, in the ways that you would raise a family, in the ways that you would be a spouse, in the ways you'd be a brother or a son or whatever, a friend. And I can't get away from those. I love those concepts. I fail at them plenty, but at least I have clarity in terms of what I want to be, what I want to stand for, and what I want to mentor people who want to be mentored around.
Yeah. And they're such great words. The first one you used was curiosity. What a great word as it ties to sales. The second one was authenticity. And again, that's a word that you and I used about you before, and you used it getting started, even though you hadn't recognized that I had. If I just even pause there, anything you would say with respect to selling or life for that matter about curiosity or authenticity?
Yeah, it's easy to not jam something down someone's throat. It's easy to live by the Sandler principle that you and I talked about, which is, listen, we may not be a fit because we're not a fit for everyone. That's not a slogan. That's the reality. If we were a fit for everyone, I wouldn't have time to be sitting here with you. I wouldn't have time to be sitting with a prospect. I would be so overwhelmed because every single business in the world would want my stuff. Yeah. But that's not the case. So let's be curious to find out, can I help you? And if I can't help you, I have to be authentic and true to my word and say, listen, I don't think it's a fit. Yeah. You didn't even tell me that. I just don't think we can help you because you're asking for Y and we're X.
Yeah. And it's so great when a seller comes to a prospect and says that before the prospect says that to the seller. Hey, look, I'm getting a sense that there's just not a fit here. And no harm, no foul on my side, but I don't think, and for whatever reasons, you can insert the reasons if not, but for whatever reasons, I'm not getting a sense. Maybe the budget isn't there and that they're looking to buy something that's cheap. That's a great reason to not be a fit. Maybe the mindset's not there. I personally, and I think a lot of salespeople, when they qualify people, they need to qualify for what's the mindset of the buyer. Are they a price shopper or are they a value shopper? I appreciate people that appreciate value more than price, just as an example. So we're qualifying for those things. So anyway, I just think that's absolutely wonderful to go through with that. The next 2 words that you had in here was gratitude and being genuine. Anything you'd say about those?
The epicenter of everything in my life that is good comes from gratitude. I cannot have more gratitude for the opportunities I've had, for the healing I've had in my life. As you know, I had cancer back in 98. I don't talk about it a lot, and I'm not going to pontificate about it here, but that is one of the turning points in my life where I literally I was told I had a 50-50 shot at living. I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. This was in 1998. I was 31 at the time. And I literally felt the Holy Spirit walk with me. I literally felt the hand of God say, I got you. And from that moment forward, I've been exceptionally grateful. I've been grateful for failure. I've been grateful for wins. I've been grateful for happiness. I've been grateful for sadness, because in the end, I have a fire inside of me, and I call that joy. And joy can't be affected by outside things. If I get in a fender bender, I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to be unhappy. If we lose a big deal, I'm going to be unhappy. If we win a big deal, I'm going to be happy. But I'm always going to have joy inside of me. And I'm always going to be grateful for the opportunities to even have the opportunity, to sit with you today. That's special. To have the opportunity to go tomorrow and fly to Pittsburgh like I'm going to do is special. To have the opportunity on Thursday to be in Northern Virginia with a prospect is special, and I'm grateful for it. Whether they buy or not, I'm grateful for the opportunity. So I think gratitude is the mother of all success.
Yeah, I love it. And I almost feel like there's a little bit of an abundance mentality in that there's more good things around the corner no matter what's taken place now, even though at the surface something might not feel great. The reality is that there could be something good on the other side of it as a result of that. And you're grateful for that experience regardless of what it is.
Two concepts feed what you just said, because I literally just visualized something great around the corner, like you said, and that's faith and hope. If you don't have faith and hope, I don't know how you see around the corner, because none of us have X-ray vision.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful. Rob, the last word was courage. And maybe that even brings us back to where we started, which was some of the courage to be in the room, the courage to step out of your comfort zone. So as a seller, or for that matter, as a human being, where does courage tie into all of this as well?
Courage, let's start with where courage gets derailed. It gets derailed when you take yourself too seriously. So when everything is super important, when everything is always on the line, when you have to be the center of attention, when you have to be interesting, when you have to win, then courage takes a heck of a shot, right? But when you don't take yourself too seriously, when you don't take the moment too seriously, listen, if this customer on Thursday decides to buy, and we can help them with what they're trying to achieve, that's not going to materially change my life either way. I want to help them. I do. And I also am competitive. I'd like to help them and win. And I like the company to win. But if that doesn't happen, my life is not going to be materially impacted. So courage, if you look at it through the lens of what's the worst thing that could happen, and should I put myself in this position, and should I try, and what if I fail? At the end of the day, again, catastrophic failure is having a car accident going 75 miles an hour. This is not a car accident going 75 miles an hour.
Yeah, so it's all perspective. Yeah, no doubt. I did a podcast with a guy named Brian Bomas, 9-time cancer survivor.
Wow. That's a cat right there.
I mean, yeah. And what a great guy. And there's nobody, I mean, he's just a super grateful. I'm having a lot of the same vibes from the experience that you're talking about as with Brian. And that's just, that takes courage. It takes all of the things, gratitude and all the things that are really central to your life. And I guess when you sum all of those things up, gratitude, being genuine, authenticity, courage, curiosity, that is Rob Vaka. And I think the smoke is cleared. It is those things that make you as successful as you are and such a great human being and a great seller. And
well, that's a phenomenal compliment. But I really hope that somebody finds a nugget there, right? I talk about nuggets. I hope somebody listening finds one of those nuggets to grab onto, and it helps them become something that they want to be, or it helps them be more of what they already are. But I think that, this is not about soft stuff. This isn't about all emotion, although life is emotional. It is about doing the right thing. And you can win and do the right thing. You can help other people and win. You can be the best in the top of your game and still be a good person. You're going to make mistakes. As I keep saying, man, have I made a lot of mistakes. Yeah. Man, have I failed in those 5 words. Man, have I not lived up to my own standard at times. But you got to have a path. You got to have a compass. And this is a pretty good compass.
And your compass points to helping and serving others.
Amen.
And with that, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. You're amazing.
I hope you'll invite me back because this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and a lot of insight. So thank you. I know you've helped a lot of people.
Thank you, Mark McGraw.